As one of the many African-American men and women who have proudly worn this uniform, I am honored to present to you the story of the first African-American to become a Maryland State Trooper. As you will discover, his significant story has had a great influence on the history of the Maryland State Police.
You could be cynical and say that the administration, you could say, we have a minority trooper, and putting me undercover was a way, well, we have him, but you don't know we have him. It was because of being the only one and the first one, and at that particular time, it was convenient. There was publicity about that, and as a matter of fact, at my graduation, I can still remember, it was in December of '57, Governor McKelvin was the speaker and presented the diplomas. And there were pictures in the Afro-American newspaper at that time. And there were pictures when I was accepted for the academy. That would have been in July of '57. And they had pictures of me in uniform, in the training uniform, which was khaki pants and a stiff-billed hat.
As much as the uniforms have changed, so have the times. The year was 1957. United States Marine Major John Glenn flies a supersonic jet from California to New York in a little over 3 hours, setting a new transcontinental speed record. That same year, the Soviet Union launches Sputnik 2, and President Dwight D. Eisenhower is re-elected for his second term. Great technology was advancing all over the world, as right here in Maryland, where we were making our own progress. This one man changed the face of the Maryland State Police, which would significantly impact the future generations of African Americans aspiring to be state troopers.
I worked at a place called Calvert Distilling Company, and I was standing in the building. We were looking out the window, and state police cars were going up, and one of the fellows said, "Hey, Milt, that's a good job for you." And I gave it some thought, and then I went and applied, took the test, passed the test, and then I went through the procedure. I was accepted, and then in July I started the class. There were about 3 or 4 years before another was selected for the academy. And at that time, the state police superintendents were, I think they were National Guard colonels. And it was Monschall, and then I remember Jarman, then eventually, I think Colonel Smith was the first one to come through the ranks. But when I came on, I went almost directly into plain clothes, which was unusual. But it was unusual circumstance when you get right down to it. With this assassination of Martin Luther King in '68, then there was a lot of civil disorders going around, like in the state and also in the surrounding areas. When I say surrounding areas, like Washington, D.C., and also there are riots or civil disorders in Baltimore City during that period. Law enforcement did not have anyone who had knowledge of these organizations, and someone had to go undercover. During the course of working undercover, I worked on the civil disorders of the '68s and investigations regarding the penal institutions, corruption at the penitentiary, and disorders down at the Maryland House of Correction. As I got older, and I remember this entire class, Jerry Ford was here. He was president or vice president. I was involved with him when he was in Maryland for a campaign. I've had a lot of fun on most jobs I've worked. When I worked at the Calvert Distilling before coming on state police, I had a lot of fun, met a lot of nice people. And with the state police, I met a lot of nice people. And even though I worked undercover, on holidays and special occasions, everyone had to wear uniform. if I was going on a job now with what I know, maybe I would have said, well, I don't want to work in plain clothes. I want to work in uniforms so that I can be out on the road. But to me, working in uniforms the few days a year that I did was sufficient for me. Because when I came on the job, I didn't know what the salary was. I signed up, I didn't know what the salary was, but I later found out it was $29,500 a year. And you received $350 a day, a subsistence allowance, because you had to live at the barrack, or some of them had to, or take your meals at the barrack. And I didn't realize you got that. Because I never knew any trooper personally before I applied for the job. I don't try to draw attention to myself. Now, I work at the district court. I see troopers coming there every day. If they don't know who I am, I never say, well, I'm Milt Taylor, I was a captain in the state police. But some of the fellows I work with will say, oh yeah, this is Milt. He was a captain. Because I'm not one to toot my own horn, as they would say. Maybe I was naive and not realizing. I probably was aware that there weren't any minority troopers at that time, but I never gave it any thought.